This chapter came out late. I was expecting this chapter to come out on Thursday, along with One Piece, and I know for a fact that the spoilers for this chapter were out on Thursday, so I just kept refreshing the page occasionally. Then I just kind of gave up, and then before you knew it, it was Monday, and all of a sudden here it is. And I think it wasn't a bad chapter. I thought it was a good chapter, but it didn't feel like it was 40 pages plus. It went by really fast. So I don't know what's going on in terms of the release schedule of it, although, it's not the official release, but it may be because they're understaffed, although no, because then I saw a bunch of other chapters come out before this. I happen to think that maybe it's because of the level of audience engagement that Boruto is generating, and, I think it's time. I respect you enough to sort of address the elephant in the room, and that's the fact that the Boruto series, I'm pretty sure, I can attest to this, has probably not been able to foster and sort of generate the amount of engagement and hype that Naruto had when it came out on a weekly basis. And that's primarily, I think, it has a lot to do with the fact that Boruto is a monthly manga. It's not a weekly manga. So humans, we're creatures of habit. So when you have, this weekly stimulus, this Naruto chapter on a weekly basis, then, you kind of create a schedule for the audience. And every week, just waiting, people get hyped, people get engaged, people get interested. And you keep that in a fixed schedule so that, it's constantly being rewarded. The anticipation never dies. But when we have a Boruto Manga Chapter coming out each month, there's a bigger gap, a bigger distance of time that you have to wait for. And now, not only that, but apparently the schedule of release is going to vary. Or rather, it has varied. And so I really do think that when something isn't consistent, people are more likely to think, wait, hold on. Okay, so if this isn't consistent, if the thing doesn't follow a specific schedule, if the schedule isn't being taken seriously, then should I take the thing seriously? Because I'll tell you one thing, if this type of delay had happened with the normal Naruto manga back when it was coming out, people would have been up in arms, just immediately complaining, where's the chapter? Where's the manga? Where's the Naruto chapter? Because I lived through that. I literally witnessed that type of behavior for not even a day's delay, just a couple of hours. And to be fair, some people did complain about where the chapter was, asking for the Boruto manga, but it wasn't, the level of inquiry wasn't as intense as it would have been if Naruto chapter had been delayed. At least not the time that I lived through it, anyway. And so the question is, why do you think that is? Is it because, people are less interested in the Boruto Manga Chapter? Is it because it's a monthly thing? Because it could be both, and if there's less interest, if they're already seeing, there's, the level of interest is wavering in the manga series, I would assume that it's obvious to me that there would be less pressure to try and release the manga chapter almost immediately, The less interest there is, the less demand there is, and therefore the less pressure you have to actually put the product out there for people. Just basic economics or business mentality. And that's not to say that everybody unplugged themselves and disconnected themselves after the Naruto manga ended, because there's still a core group of people, a core group of Naruto fans that will consume and discuss and even promote the content. As long as it's Naruto related in essence, like Boruto. So those hardcore fans will be there to support the series throughout it all. But the truth is, not everybody's like that. And, I think it's important to be honest and admit to the fact that the interest, or at least the level of fan engagement, has wavered. I mean, numerically, it's wavered. Just look at the forums. And that doesn't mean that it's always going to stay the same, and that it's always going to be that way. No. But I do think it means that the manga has to be very careful about what it tries to do next to keep people engaged. Notice that I'm saying the manga. The anime, I think, the good thing about the anime, like I said, is that it's weekly. So therefore, consistency is on the anime side. Actually, it's not just consistency that's on the anime side, it's also frequency. So both frequency and consistency help out the anime a lot. Because imagine this scenario, right? Imagine that we had a very bad anime episode all of a sudden, right? And people would be like, well, this is terrible. But at least there, we would have just to wait 1 week for the anime to kind of make it up. So imagine one episode sucked and then the next one was actually really good. So people would probably have less time to think about that really bad episode, right? They would tend to forget about it a lot sooner. Versus in the manga, if we have a really bad monthly chapter, that's the chapter that you're stuck with, for the rest of the month. and you have to wait another month to see if it actually makes up for it. So that's kind of what I meant when I said I think the manga needs to be really careful about how it decides to move forward from this point on. I know some of you have mentioned this in the comments that it's kind of like the same pattern as Dragon Ball Super, the anime, where in which they start recapping the movies. The manga did that. They recapped Boruto the movie, but then they actually work on expanding the world building. We had the Universe 7 versus Universe 6 arc. After that, we had the Samasu/Goku Black arc. And after that, we have the Tournament of Power, which is the arc that we're in right now. And you kind of visualize these arcs as peaks, right? Growing peaks of viewership and audience engagement. And I kind of think that that's something that really helped out the show. And I think that's kind of like, I think that's what Boruto needs. I kind of think it just needs something to jumpstart it a little bit. And I think we're going to get that. At least my hope is that we get that once Kawaki gets introduced into the story. So what do we have here today, folks? Well, front and center, right, on the cover page, just straight up, we have Sarada and Chocho. Sarada wearing one of her skimpy outfits, which is now the norm for the Boruto manga. And I think it's very important, all right, that you take this opportunity to question and be critical about stuff, because I think it's important to understand that these clothes, this type of clothing, is there for a reason, all right? There is a human being drawing her with this type of clothing. So there's somebody there making a decision, all right, about what Sarada should wear and how that should look. And so the question is, so with that said, who are you trying to appeal to with these outfits, with this look from Sarada?
So Konohamaru Sensei gives the kids a B rank mission, and we don't find out exactly what it is, but I kind of get the feeling that at the end of the day, it'll be somehow related or somehow tied in to the thing that Boruto went out to do by himself anyway. I can already see that resolution being like, well, Boruto, you decided not to come with us on the mission, but the mission was actually related to the thing that you set out to do. So, you killed two birds with one stone. So Tento has been kidnapped. He's being held for ransom. He even tries to stab himself with a shuriken at one point. That doesn't work, and before Boruto goes out to save him, he stops by Sarada's place to tell her that he won't be able to make the mission. So to me, that scenario just brings up two possibilities. Either Sarada is going to follow Boruto and just jump in there in the action in the nick of time to save Boruto and Tento from an attack, or she's going to go out and actually seek help from an adult and bring them into the action that way. I mean, either alternative seems like a very Sarada-ish thing to do, given the circumstances. Also, I like how one of the requests, in addition to the money for returning Tento alive, was the fact that they want all the prisoners from the Blood Prison, if you remember that Naruto movie, to be released. So I kind of like that shout out there to Blood Prison. Also, am I the only one who thought that Shojoji kind of looked like a more hairier, more deadbeat version of Choji? Which I guess kind of goes along with Choji's eating habits, because the Shikabane Bunshin no Jutsu requires the user to eat the brain of the victim while they're still alive. So yet another manga introducing the concept of cannibalism into the story. It kind of reminded me of an episode of Heroes, because in that show, it was canceled a long time ago, but that show basically had a villain that would absorb abilities, but the way that he would absorb them is like he would need to open up the victim's brain in order to see how the brain worked, and he would then copy that ability into himself. So that's how he would get his abilities. Also, just a quick note that I want to mention, it almost seemed like in the moment where Tento was about to stab himself in the head with the shuriken, if you look at Shojoji, it almost seemed like he teleported to where Tento was instantly. So I just want to make a mental note of that, because that may be an ability that he uses in his fight against Boruto and against Sarada if she decides to show up. And I also have a question. If he absorbs an ability from a ninjutsu user or from somebody, if he doesn't have their appearance, does he still continue to have the ability? Because if that's the case, that'd be OP, because then he's just constantly absorbing abilities from other people. Also, finally, we still do not get to learn which card Boruto wanted all this time. That's still kept a secret. I mean, come on. Can you please tell us what it is already?
That's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't for more Boruto and Naruto related stuff. Comment down below. Tell me what you thought about the chapter, and not just the chapter itself, but also about the points that I brought up throughout the video about, level of interest. What is your level of interest? What did you think about the release being out so late? Stuff like that, because, I really am interested in seeing what other people have to say about this whole thing, and whether or not they acknowledge that this is actually a different phase in the Naruto fandom. Because it is an adjustment period, it's a transition. So let me know where you are at in that transitional phase, or if you're even part of that transitional phase in the first place. Just comment down below. Thank you guys. Catch you guys later. Bye.